everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Liz, and today I'm going to share with you how to recreate this farmhouse sign that you see above me in the hut. We've all seen this farmhouse sign at Hobby Lobby, but I didn't want to pay for it, so I thought I could use a thrift store canvas to recreate this. So keep watching because this sign ended up costing me about $9 to do, which I thought was great. And even with buying my contact paper and paint and supplies and everything. So keep watching and I'll show you how to make this, and I'll also give you some tips on things I would do differently next time. And if you're new to my channel, please make sure to subscribe. I post 3 tutorials each week on DIY projects. I purchased this sign at Goodwill and I bought it for $5, which is a little bit more than what I wanted to spend, but I thought that the shape of it was perfect and it really had a hard top to it, and I knew it would be perfect for what I was going to do. So it has this really nice black edge that I wanted to keep, and it just has a tiny little lip around the front. So I'm taking my painter's tape and just covering up that lip so that it won't show through. Now the reason that this was so inexpensive for me to do was I got chalk paint from Walmart. I'm using a color called Silver Lining, which is a gray color, and I only purchased a small bottle, which their small bottles of chalk paint are around $1.67, I think, and I was able to do 3 coats on this sign with just that small bottle, and it worked perfectly, but I did end up needing the 3 coats. Painting the sign, and the chalk paint is so forgiving, so you just want to paint 3 thin layers and it will come out perfectly, and then I just allow drying time between each layer. Normally I use the Cricut template paper and transfer paper whenever I'm making a sign, but that paper is so expensive, and I saw someone on YouTube who was using just plain laminate paper that she bought at Walmart for her signs, and I thought, oh my goodness, that would be so inexpensive. So that's what I did for this sign. I was using laminate paper. I am just going to take off the painter's tape, and there was a few spots where I had some extra paint, but I just took them off really easily. So this is the laminate paper. It's by Magic Cover, and this is what I'm going to be using. This was under $2 for this whole entire roll. So the first thing I like to do is go to Etsy to find an SVG file, which is the files that you can use for Cricut. And I just clicked on a bunch of farmhouse signs, and they're usually, I mean, I've bought like, you know, templates that are like maybe 99 cents. It's just worth it for me to just buy one of these, put it into the Cricut design space and print it off. You can always make them yourself, but I typically will just go buy a cheap one from Etsy. So I have to figure out which one I'm going to get. So on my Cricut machine, it'll let you cut 12 by 24 inch mat. So I have it set up here and I'm going to cut it out now. So I'm just going to, I don't have 2 mats, but I'm just running it through on 2 of my 12 by 12 mats. I decided that I actually wanted my sign to be bigger than 24 inches. So I actually recut it in 2 pieces so that it was bigger. And now what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to pull off the inner portion that says farmhouse on it. And that came off easily. And I forgot to tell you guys, I cut it on the vinyl setting and that worked perfectly. The white paper was still intact. So I'm just going to gently pull it off of both sides, and then I'm going to detach the paper from the white backing, and I'm going to put it in place on the board. Now I will say I didn't have any transfer paper, and that made it a lot harder to put this in place. And the reason I think it was hard was because I had cursive letters. I think if I would have had more block lettering, this wouldn't have been an issue, but I had to try to get it all nice in a row, and I basically had a top piece and a bottom piece, and that was a little tricky. So if I was going to do this sign again, I would probably put the Cricut transfer clear paper over top of this contact paper just to make it a little bit easier for me. But if I didn't have it on hand, I would still do it this way. I was able to get it, where I needed it. It just took me a little bit of extra time to get it all unraveled and put in place. I was also being a bit of a perfectionist and took it off twice and was redoing it to make sure that it was perfectly straight, and I probably didn't need to do that. So once I got it down the way I wanted, I just made sure that it was nice and stuck down to the sign. And then I'm going to take the little pieces that go on the inner parts and add them. The thing I did like about this paper better than the Cricut paper is it wasn't as sticky. I was able to work with it a lot better than the Cricut paper, so I did like it for that part. And it was a really inexpensive option, because I don't know about you guys, but normally when I make a sign and I cut something out of my Cricut, I always tend to mess it up and need to redo it. So this was helpful for me because that way I didn't feel like I was wasting a bunch of paper. Now to paint my sign, the way that I paint a sign is I get a small amount of paint on your brush. You really don't want a lot on there. You want just a slight amount, because if you dab it on there, you're going to get bleeding underneath. So you just want a small amount, and I'm just going from side to side, just doing sweeping motions to get all the paint on there. And I do 2 thin layers of paint, and I usually don't have any trouble when I put it on this way. If I dab it or make it too globby, then I usually have issues. And then when the second layer is still wet, I'm going to pull off my sign. This sign actually turned out perfectly. I mean, I didn't have any bleeding and it looked great. So I would definitely use this paper again in the future.
I hope you guys like that farmhouse sign. If you guys have tried something similar, leave me a comment below and let me know what I need to do and change. That was my first time doing that project, so I could use any tips that you may have. And if you like this video, please make sure to give me a thumbs up. It really helps to support my channel. And I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.